How's it going, Goomy Gang? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Now, if you remember last video, I mentioned I had a little bit of a sore throat. Well, that turned out to be the beginning stages of COVID, which I am still kind of getting over. I'm better for the most part, but as you can tell, I'm a little congested and I have to kind of clear my throat a lot. That's just kind of how it is, and I'm sorry if I cough, but all that out of the way, we're going to be talking about the Bryson pump actions, and you might be wondering, why would we do that? Because of course they nerfed all the pump actions. Some of them were just straight up terrible. In fact, most of them are. The MWIII SP is actually pretty decent, and even the Brysons, like the base Brysons, really are terrible. They're not great at all. Now, the Krabby Patty secret sauce to make them work is basically just using Dragon's Breath, because what Dragon's Breath ends up doing is basically restoring the range that we lost for all of our dear beloved pump actions, so we actually get those great 2-shots and even 3-shot ranges back with these 2 shotguns. So these are actually really good, and so with today's video, I'm going to be covering them, sharing a few different class setups and why these things are so good. So if that sounds good to you, let's just go ahead and get started. So one of the first things to talk about is, of course, the range and the damage for these things, the Bryson 800 and the Bryson 890. And with these, you do deal a little bit less damage up close than your traditional pump action does now. Normally, you deal about 270 with the MWIII SP and with a lot of the base ammo like pump actions. But with Dragon's Breath, it takes it to 250. Not a huge drop down. That's still a ton of damage. And this is with Dragon's Breath, so you do have a little bit of a burn that kicks in, and that could deal anywhere from like 5 to 20 points of damage. It's very inconsistent, but luckily they made it to where the base pellet damage is enough to do the damage we need to get the shots to kill we need, so that's really, really nice. You won't be getting a lot of burn kills with these, so just note you do deal a little bit extra damage with burns, but it doesn't really make a huge difference. Now, the damage after the max damage range drops down to about 150 from 250. Keep in mind that's aiming down sights hitting 5 of your 8 pellets, so that's actually enough to 2-shot. So your 2-shot range extends for the Bryson 800 and the Bryson 890 respectively out to about 6.6 and 6.4 meters. Now, if you remember the MWIII SP, its base gun was only out to 6.1 for its 2-shots, so it's already better off. Now, I will say it doesn't deal nearly as much damage. Obviously, 150 is less than 200, so keep that in mind, but hey, the 2-shot is already better with the base gun, and we have so many attachments we can use on the 800 and 890. So just how good can we get with these? Well, for the MWIII SP, just for reference, if you put the long barrel on, that's really the only attachment you can use to get range. It takes your 2-shot to 7 meters. Kind of mediocre, not really good, but the nice thing is it does a lot of damage out to that range. But with the Bryson 800 and Bryson 890, they can put on big barrels for both of them. Then you have muzzle attachments like the Flash Twist 90 and the Quad Flash. Those are 2 of the best attachments you can use for the most range for these shotguns. If you put those things on each of these, the Bryson 800 can 2-shot out to about 9.3 meters, and the Bryson 890 is out to about 8.4. So that completely demolishes the MWIII SP, and yes, it deals less damage, but your 2-shot potential is super good. And it doesn't really even stop there, because the 3-shot range is still really, really good. For the MWIII SP, its 3-shot is out to about 11 meters, I think, with the long barrel, but with these attachments on something like the Bryson 800, for example, you still deal 100 damage after that next range, like after the 2-shot range, it still deals 100 damage. So if you hit really well-placed shots, you could technically 3-shot out to about the 18-meter mark. That's really, really good. This is really cool to see. Now, the only hard part about it is, again, like I said, you have to aim down sights or tack stance and hit 5 of your 8 pellets, which can be a challenge, but the potential is absolutely there. And it doesn't even stop there. There are so many benefits to using these 2 pump actions over the MWIII SP that it's kind of crazy. In fact, some of the other big ones are your mobility and your handling. Now, one of the big things is like your sprint to fire speed. On the MWIII SP, it's terrible on that thing. If you even try to get the best sprint to fire you can, it's still around like 150 milliseconds. Now, by default, the 890 and 800 are like already way past that, and if you put on some attachments, you can get sub 100 milliseconds, which is really nice. And even stacking range attachments doesn't even hurt it that much, so you're still very close to that 100 millisecond mark, which is already so much better, and you'll notice it feels instantly more like reactive. Also, another great feature is you can just tack stance these shotguns by default. Tack stance is great on shotguns, and you don't have to have a tactical laser for these, thank God, so you can just tack stance all you want, or even aim down sights all you want, and it's still super good. Also, we have a ton of attachment variety since these are Modern Warfare guns, so you can use the Quad Flash or the Flash Twist if you want the most range in the muzzle category, or you can use the suppressor, which I do quite a bit because I love staying off the radar and being a little more quiet, which also give you more range. They have a lot more barrel attachments, there's a lot more stock and laser attachments, there's just so much more going for these things than the MWIII SP, and how like it only has 4 muzzle attachments and a couple attachments in this category. I don't know, I kind of prefer the Modern Warfare system of weaponry, but honestly, there's a lot of reasons to use the Bryson 800 and Bryson 890 over the MWIII SP. Now, if I was going to play devil's advocate on why you should use the MWIII SP over the things like the Bryson 800 and 890, it would absolutely be because of the fact that it deals so much damage. In each of its ranges, like for its 1-shot, or rather its 2-shot and its 3-shot ranges, the MWIII SP still deals a ton more damage. Like, it's still dealing 200 damage out to that 6-meter mark, which the other ones are dealing only 150, which does make a difference, and it makes it feel very, very strong. But I like how there's a difference here where you can get a little bit more range and potential. You just got to hit your shot well, and it doesn't hit nearly as hard. That's kind of what I like to see, and I hope the base guns follow suit with that as well. Now, when it comes to building these things out, there really is just so many different ways you can go about doing it. Now, this is my preferred way to run the Bryson 800. Now, this is your ranged, like, hunting shotgun, right? So I just go full on range and good spread. The Flash Twist 90 for the best range with the rifled barrel, sawed-off mod, of course. The Kimura Laser Light is for a really good tac stand spread, but also some sprint to fire speed, and then of course Dragon's Breath. Like I said, this is your 2-shot, like 9.3 meter monster, so this is what you want to use if you want the most range. Now, if you want to use the Bryson 890, which I would argue is probably the better of the two because it has a little bit better handling and mobility by default, and an 8-round mag by default, so it's great for quads. This is probably the better of the two, but for this one, if you want most range, use the Flash Twist 90 or the Quad Flash, the Bryson Tac Fire. I'm using the Demo X50 Tactical Pump because for this thing, it does help its rate of fire by a little bit better than on the Bryson 800, so it helps having a good faster follow-up, which is really nice. Then of course the sawed-off mod and Dragon's Breath. Now, if you want to go full-on mobility with the Bryson 890 instead of range, you can also do that. So take off the Flash Twist, replace that with something like the Jack/Underbarrel, replace that Bryson Tac Fire Barrel with the Demo Firewall, and swap out that GAR, the Demo X50 Tactical Pump, for the Demo Drop Zone. You're going to feel like you're flying through the map, but you don't have as much range. But that's okay because it's a pump action. You're going to be jumping around like a cartoon. You're going to be hitting a lot of shots, just going left and right and bouncing off the walls, and that's really what's fun about this build. So the Bryson 890, I highly, highly recommend. And that's pretty much all I have to talk about for these two shotguns. I'm not really going to give my overall thoughts. I think you guys know I've talked it up enough. These are great shotguns. They are a little unforgiving because you have to hit your shots well. You're going to have a lot of 3 shots, which is okay, but these things have some great handling, great mobility, and great range potential, and that's all I really want from a pump action, so I cannot recommend these enough, and definitely recommend you guys try these out. But now, as always, I want to know down below in the comments, do you guys think that these pump actions are really good like I do? Do you think I'm talking them up a bit too much? And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.
Marked remaining operators from that squad. Fire sales done. Prices are back to normal. Kill confirmed. We've located the rest.